Sarah, all the way from Ventura, California, KLFF, it says. All right. Hello, Sarah.
Hi. Oh, I'm so glad you took my call. Thank you. I love your show.
Thank you.
And I'm just in my life right now. I'm really trying to pursue God like I never have before.
Okay. Great.
And my problem is that there's a big roadblock there, and that is alcohol, addiction to alcohol.
Okay.
I've been struggling with it for 6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years. Okay. And what have you tried that hasn't worked very well for you?
I've tried AA, and the first time I was able to stay sober for a year and a half because I was traumatized from some of the events. And then the second time I went, I was able to stay sober for about 5 months. And this last time, I've just been trying to manage the alcohol and, not binge as much. And but I just am convinced that I am abusive toward it.
Yeah.
And that it needs to stop. And
don't you think you've had your share?
Yes.
and a couple other people's share too, maybe. Even,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's what I think. I think that you have proven that when it comes to stopping drinking, you can comply. You're in compliance with how people stop drinking, and you've done it for some significant segments of time. But you haven't fully surrendered your whole life to a God that can lift you far beyond the struggle with alcohol. A God that can take you to a place where alcohol seems so insignificant you can't believe it was such a big deal.
So how do you get that close to him?
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you that when we come back. Or we'll all three tell you that, okay? By the way, when you're really serious about drinking, how much can you drink?
Like a bottle and a half at night.
Of what?
So I'm not
a bottle and a half of a bottle and a half of what? A bottle and a half of what?
Oh, of wine.
Wine, okay. And
I'm not
how
the
much?
Worst kind of alcohol.
Yeah. How much do you weigh?
Which makes it harder.
Yeah. How much? How much do you weigh?
125.
Okay. We'll be back after this. Okay, we're talking with Sarah, and Jill, you were mentioning at the break you've got a few observations about Sarah here.
Oh, well, yes, Sarah. It sounds like when you were telling us, you're not the worst kind of alcoholic.
There is a hierarchy among alcoholics.
Yes, there is. And, it sounds like it's hard for you to have maybe people looking at you in a negative way, or that we might look at you in a negative way, or that you might even look at yourself that way. But in that, it's almost like it's hard to admit that you're powerless over alcohol. Like, I'm not as bad as some people. And almost as if, you're kind of mad that you have to give it up still.
Well, I had a sponsor, and one time I had a relapse, and the way that she handled it was totally just unacceptable to me. It just did not work for me at all. Like, she paused for like 6 seconds to where I had to say, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "It's a simple program. You just don't drink." And it's not simple at all. It's very psychological.
Oh.
There's a lot of psychology that goes on. And I just was so turned off, and I went one more time after that, and then I stopped going.
Now, that's what alcoholics do.
Alternative.
That's what alcoholics do, That's beautiful alcoholic thinking.
What is?
I'm not gonna stick with this, because one person out of billions of people on the face of the earth, one person reacted to me in a way that I just can't handle. So rather than me pick up my life and get on with this recovery thing after my relapse, I'm just not going to go anymore. I'm not going to do anything. Something that worked for a year and a half for me, I'm not going to be involved with. That's alcoholic thinking.
Stinking thinking.
I started
there is no
alternative,
there.
and it messed me up. Like, like,
well, right.
So
why?
That,
here's the question.
Recovery rate is really low, and
okay. Hold on. Here's the question. By the way, the only people I know that are recovering from alcoholism are recovering through AA. Okay.
Or through a Christian
Okay.
form
Yeah.
of
Right.
There's no
Or through Celebrate
rational
Recovery
recovery or whatever that thing is. Now,
Mhm.
why
Okay.
haven't you been able to totally surrender your life to a God that loves you?
Because I don't seem to be able to really have a relationship like where I can hear what he's saying.
Guess what? It's really hard to have a relationship with God when your brain is saturated with alcohol and the toxins that a bottle and a half of wine a night can produce.
Hmm.
So your body isn't able to process the alcohol in a 24-hour period for a bottle and a half. So it builds up this acetaldehyde toxin that literally causes your brain to misfire. And so you're doing really dumb things that you wouldn't do if you didn't have that much alcohol going in you.
Yeah, you're just surviving barely. You're not really developing.
But come back to
New.
this question of surrender, because I think that's the key. That's really the first three steps, and I doubt if you
Yeah.
got beyond the first three steps when you were doing well in recovery, because the fourth step's where people really start to back away, because it's a tough one. But the surrendering thing and recognizing, that you are powerless, that you can't control this, and it's going to take somebody beyond you to control it, and that person has to be Jesus Christ. Now, here's the thing about success in recovery, Sarah, is that in a lot of AA groups, people don't do well because they have minimized the spiritual side of the recovery. But if you look back at the beginnings of Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob Smith, those were strong Christian programs, and they were very successful. And the programs that are successful today are the ones where the higher power is named. He's Jesus Christ, and you got to work on developing that relationship with him, just like you would with some of your friends. And
Yeah,
that's
Sarah,
part of it.
we have a life recovery Bible that would be great for you to have to get.
Okay.
Have you seen one of those?
In fact,
I think I may have, and I may even have one stored away. I don't know where it's at if I do, but
Okay. Well, if you're saying you're not able to have a relationship with God.
I'm trying.
Okay,
I
but-
talked this morning.
all
I
right.
prayed so hard
Good.
that.
But
you know,
here's a
and
tool. Here's a
it's
tool.
an ongoing
So this
thing,
is a
with
beginning. This
Yeah.
is a new beginning.
Now,
Always praying about it.
now listen. You're in captivity, like the Israelites were in captivity in Egypt, and you need to be delivered out of alcoholism the way that Moses delivered those people out of Egypt. Okay, are you following me here? And when God delivered them, He sent a deliverer, a human being, Moses. And you need human beings. You need a sponsor. You need an accountability partner. You need people in your life to help you with this. Get back into AA. Go to Celebrate Recovery. Start a life recovery group on your own. But you get back in and you do what most people do who no longer have a problem with alcohol, and that is they recover.
and
Jill?
Sarah, when you're uncomfortable or when you don't like how someone's treating you, you keep persevering. You stay with it because it's not supposed to be pain-free or completely comfortable every moment. It's like people who say, gosh, I don't like going to church because all those people are hypocrites.
Yeah.
That isn't the purpose of going to church, So you're going to AA because you have to.
Yeah. And
You've proven that.
And every alcoholic has an excuse. Some it's the mother-in-law, some it's the
Right.
dog. The dog,
Right.
I would have, but the dog,
Right,
the
and
whole
then
dog
and
thing.
then
My sponsor.
saturating
Get a new one.
yourself in God, in things of God.
Right.
Almost so it feels overboard, but listening to Christian things, going to Christian groups, going to church, reading your Bible, saturating yourself
Yeah.
so that you really draw close to Him.
Okay. You've got the awareness. You may have the desire, but do you have the willingness to actually do something? There's the big question.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to us, you're aware you've got a problem in some area. You've got the desire to change it. You want it to be different. But that gets you nowhere other than more miserable unless you're willing to take the action. That is the tough one, willingness.